Right, so Arvind Kejriwal there concluding his press conference, the second press conference meant to expose a senior political figure, and that political figure, as many expected, is Nitin Gadkari. In fact, not just Nitin Gadkari on his own, but as Arvind Kejriwal pointed out, and we had also been talking about earlier, the attempt being to show a consolidation or a collusion of political interests, and therefore also pointing out how someone like Ajit Pawar, who's a senior leader of the NCP, may have actually intervened in Mr. Gadkari's behalf. So today's press conference, not an expose in the conventional sense that it was perhaps the last time, but demonstrating what happens when a leading political figure like BJP President Nitin Gadkari has expanding business interests in an area like Vidarbha, which is a highly sensitive area where there's a water scarcity and where he starts opening up power projects one after the other, how that opens up a minefield of conflict of interest. Often he has to go against his own party's line. Often he has to seek the intervention of other political parties, including those in power, like the Congress NCP government, which otherwise his party is opposing. And those are the core arguments made by Arvind Kejriwal, also giving some specific instances to point that out. For example, he points out a case where Mr. Gadkari had actually asked for a piece of land which had been taken by some farmers for an irrigation project near Nagpur in a place called Bela. And while that was initially taken by the irrigation department, Mr. Gadkari asked for it. And finally, at the intervention, he says, Arvind Kejriwal says, of Ajit Pawar, who was irrigation minister at that time, Mr. Gadkari finally ends up getting that piece of land, depriving the farmers of their livelihood. That's the specific allegation. But he also goes on to summarize overall Mr. Gadkari's business interests in Vidarbha, of which there are several, and how his interest in power projects is leading to a water scarcity because of the limited water resources there. These are also areas that we on NDTV had reported on extensively earlier. So today's press conference or today's revelations, in a sense, bringing up some of the earlier allegations or some of the earlier information available, and also presenting some new ones. So we'll have to wait to see how the BJP in particular reacts to today's allegations, and we'll be getting reactions now across party lines as the boot now shifts to the other foot. Rahul Srivastav joins us from Mr. Nitin Gadkari's residence, where there has been a war room of sorts. Mr. Gadkari in a huddle with his senior leaders, watching this press conference and preparing their own reaction. Rahul, as expected, Nitin Gadkari, the target this time around. Also, as expected, his business interests, which we had reported on earlier as well, some new evidence emerging. Any indication of how Mr. Gadkari has been processing all of this, and did he already have a reply in place, given the fact that there was so much anticipation that he would be named?
Srinivasan, one, that there were very visible nerves in the BJP right since early morning. What we can certainly say is that there was a worry, because the BJP certainly realizes that having taken the anti-corruption issue to such a high over the last 2 years, the BJP was worried about one single fact, that if there are some kind of a substantive, maybe charges which later Mr. Gadkari can refute, but if there are some charges are launched into the public domain, there can be serious worries for the BJP, especially after it's something that Mr. L.K. Advani, the BJP senior leader, had voiced in this recently concluded BJP conclave in Surajkund, in which he had said that before you attack others on corruption, you have to ensure that your act is clean. But Rahul, what one can generally say, Srinivasan, what one can generally say is that there is a kind of a relief, because one, lot of these charges maybe have got substantiated, have additions, but have been in public domain for a certain amount of time. But what the BJP is more worried, not about the kind of charges that might be hurled at Nitin Gadkari, but what exactly it does to its anti-corruption plank. Yes, the BJP was anticipating. For the last, even Nitin Gadkari was preparing for this onslaught. Right. What we can say is that for the last few days, he has been consulting his legal experts and also his accountants to ensure that his account books and others do not have much problems.
So I think that's an important point you made, and this was my own reading of it as I was watching it, that while there is certainly something to be said about listening to all these charges as they're enumerated one after the other, and they do have their impact, the kind of media attention on them, you're saying that the BJP is privately relieved because there are no sensational new charges in a sense, that many of these allegations against Mr. Gadkari were already in the public domain. We had reported extensively on some of them. But are we going to see now, Rahul, the BJP coming to Mr. Gadkari's defense? Because in some of the previous instances, there was some reluctance on the part of their senior leaders to come forward. For example, when we'd broken that story about the letter that he'd written in defense of the Gosikud Dam project, you were reporting that day. But today, are they going to come forward to defend him?
Srinivasan, one basic fact that unlike the past instances where there has been a bit of an acrimonious attack on him, Nitin Gadkari has chosen to take legal resource in several of them. And that is something he didn't take it to the party level. And right now, what is the difference is that this is largely an attack on the BJP president. And that's why one can say that Arun Jaitley, Sushma Swaraj and several other leaders are inside, perhaps drafting a response. But what is very important is what was at stake for the BJP. At this juncture, any serious charges against Nitin Gadkari could have not only dented the anti-corruption charge, but also importantly, that Nitin Gadkari is few months away from his second term as far as BJP presidency is concerned.
I think the timing,
and that would have meant that Nitin Gadkari would have been president till 2014.
Yes, that's right. I think that timing is very important, Rahul.
BJP.
Yeah. And the timing is very important, and we will come back to you. We will come back to you. We believe you'll also be getting some of the reactions of those senior BJP leaders that you have with us. But let's now also go across and start getting political reactions to today's expose, round 2 of Arvind Kejriwal's name and shame strategy. Sanjay Jha joins me from Mumbai, who's now become an active spokesperson for the Congress. Sanjay, thanks very much for joining us. I can't see from the camera shot that we have whether you have a smile on your face, but certainly now the shoe is on the other foot, except, Sanjay, that what Arvind Kejriwal has pointed out today is that your own ally in Maharashtra, the NCP, may have intervened on Mr. Gadkari's behalf to allot to him a plot of land that was meant for farmers. So it's not a clear-cut targeting of the BJP per se, but it's targeting the political establishment. In this case, it involves the NCP as well.
Vasu, to be very honest, one of the biggest dilemmas facing both the India Against Corruption and the BJP has been about which amongst them is the team B. Now, that is their internal predicament and crisis. So, when you look at today's conference done by Arvind Kejriwal, I personally feel he's gone extremely soft on the BJP because, end of day, a couple of tactical changes that they made. One, they announced a long time ago that, it was, or they at least let the world know that suspicions were floated that the name will be, the big guy will be Nitin Gadkari. I think that straight away takes away what I call as the optic impact of today's big declaration.
But Sanjay, I want to interrupt you there. That's a very interesting point you made. You're saying that the BJP, that the IAC has been soft on the BJP. You're saying this despite the fact that they spent 1.5 hours presenting allegations against their president?
I can tell you, there are a lot of other serious allegations against Nitin Gadkari in the public domain, and it's related, one, to the irrigation scam. There are also a lot of unanswered questions when Nitin Gadkari was the minister in the government earlier, when a lot of serious infrastructure investments were made, for example, the expressway, etc. Now, he's completely overlooked that. Now, end of day, as we all know, Prithvi Raj Chavan has already said that there will be a white paper, there will be an inquiry. You have a deputy chief minister in Maharashtra who has quitted. So, I think there is no denying that Nitin Gadkari has some serious questions to answer.
Sorry to interrupt, but are you implying that the IAC is still acting, in your words, as a team B for the BJP? They're still soft on there's a soft corner for the BJP?
I definitely think so. Vasu, let's not ignore the fact that both these elements have been, their foundation of the ISC was based on the support that they received from the RSS and BJP on a very anti-Congress platform that began last year. I think let's not jump the gun. I don't think there has been any divorces yet.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.